me tell you about the day I nearly died. I like it, good energy. The day started great. I had recently published a book on productivity tips that I learned from 2 stints on Wall Street and starting a company in Silicon Valley. I decided to end the day a little bit early and go to the gym in my apartment complex with plans to relax for the next few hours until my girlfriend, now wife, Brittany, came home. I started doing interval training on a stationary bike. 30 seconds fast, 30 seconds slow, 30 seconds fast, 30 seconds slow. And then the music in my headphones began to muffle. The lights got blinding, and the pedals got really heavy. I began to sweat, and my head hurt unlike anything I had ever felt before. Figuring it was just a migraine, I got off the bike dazed and uncoordinated. I stumbled over to the elevator to pass some unfazed passengers as it went up. And when I got to my apartment, as soon as I opened the door, I promptly fell to the ground, certain I would die alone. Now, miraculously, Brittany came home early that day to find me in a nearly unconscious state. Being young and in shape, the paramedics that came figured I was just having a bad migraine. They actually drove to the regional hospital without their lights and sirens on. And when Tess came back, though, the ER doctor on call came in and said calmly, "Mr. Palmer, you've had a brain aneurysm rupture. Your brain is bleeding, but we can't treat you here. We need to transfer you immediately." Arriving to the next hospital, I did one of the scariest things I have ever done. With a weak little scribble, I literally signed my life away, consenting to open brain surgery in an attempt to repair the damage. Now, I'm hearing some noises from the audience, so you're feeling a little bit uneasy, right? Vulnerable, wondering what happened next, since you may know that 75% of people who have these kinds of ruptures die, and many survivors are left with severe disabilities. However, I am standing here, not unscathed, but triumphant. Let's see what happened next and why it matters. So after the surgery, which went well, woo, thank you. I spent 2 weeks in the neuro ICU and months learning how to read, walk, talk, and write all over again. I could feel myself and everybody wondering if I would ever be the same. But from the depths of that darkness, a spark lit and grew every day. Now, many people who go through near-death experiences choose to simplify their lives. They go to peace and comfort and serenity. I, however, felt the existential need to start a company. to take that second lease at life and build something awesome. I convinced Brittany that this was the path, that we needed a blank canvas, a new network, a new inspiration, a new location. I started studying for the GMATs, reading at about 1/10 my normal speed. And I applied here at Babson, the #1 entrepreneurship school. Right, imagine this, with a shaved head and a cane, narrowly navigating the window between pain medicines. Graciously, they accepted me, and I wasted no time. Within the year, I met my co-founder, and we started a company that combined artificial intelligence and social good. We aim to help hospitals and colleges and nonprofits build more and deeper relationships, both with their supporters and the folks that they helped. It was a mixture of passion and skill, a capstone on those Wall Street and Silicon Valley experiences, and this burning desire to do something better. That focus, along with an amazing team, helped us become a leader in the space, helping hundreds of nonprofits improve countless lives. And when the timing was right, we had a highly successful, life-changing exit, and it continues to do great things in the world. Well, I've moved on, like Millie said, to embrace my passion for helping entrepreneurs as the leader of one of the most respected angel investor groups on the planet and an entrepreneur in residence right here at Babson. Nearly dying helped me realize how I wanted to live, how to harness the power of my vulnerability and stop wasting time. Now, I can't see hands, but those of you who have started companies may raise your hand and say, Rich, that's BS, right? Being a founder is one of the hardest jobs you can choose to do. Terrible pay, long hours, constant worry, all for an end goal that is statistically difficult to reach, since 90% of startups fail. Nearly dying should probably bring you away from that career path. However, some are able to channel their hardest moments into a catalyst for innovation. It's a powerful and repeating phenomenon of people who face the edge of existence and come back just to help others and do it the hard way. You want to dive a little deeper?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So one semester, I was an adjunct professor here at Babson, teaching a course called New Venture Creation, which leads students through the entire entrepreneurial journey. From idea to business model and execution to pitching, it's a highly rated course and a safe space to learn real-world entrepreneurship. About halfway through the semester, one of the students asked me why I started my business, which you've gotten that story. But you never want to overshadow your students, and I don't often talk about my experience because it's so intense. So I tried to buy a little bit of time, and I told them they'd be able to learn from each other in the next class. It's kind of like when a substitute teacher plays a video instead of actually answering the question you asked, you know? Surprisingly, it worked, and I'll show you why. So in the next session, I asked the students to take a note card and write out the answer to a simple question. What is your biggest fear as a future founder? They would fold those note cards up, put it in a big bowl, shuffle it all together, and we'd pass it around for the opportunity to read aloud somebody else's fear. What happened next still gets to me. One by one, the students took turns reading anonymously. Some were pretty straightforward. I'm afraid of not getting rich enough. I'm afraid of letting my parents down. I'm afraid of having to get a real job. But then others came up and reframed the way we were thinking about the conversation. I'm afraid the cancer might come back. I'm afraid I might die if I fail and have to go back to my home country. I'm afraid the baby will get in the way. Reading 40 or so of these aloud, the room was silent, much like this. A crescendo of emotion had exposed our vulnerabilities, and some of us had struggled immensely. But they were all there to learn how to start a company despite those fears. It was a powerful lesson. And on reflection, it occurred to me that the concept of a near-death experience was much more than medical that I had gone through. But it could be everything from the death of an identity to a career, to a relationship, or even a lifestyle. It's about recognizing the end of something and the opportunity to be brave and start new on the other side. And it doesn't need to be that dramatic, honestly, right? As long as you're not afraid to start, getting on the other end of one brave moment can be enough. So the students in my classroom use this sort of spectrum of the human experience to pivot themselves towards a better future. They use their fears and their vulnerabilities not as a hindrance, but as an agent of clarity and urgency. Entrepreneurs all over the world have done it. I've done it, and so can you. So in closing, I would like to share a quote from the ancient Stoic Marcus Aurelius that still rings true after 2,000 years. And it's the one slide I'm going to show because I really want you to remember this one. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what is left and live it properly. Thank you, and get going.